Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back another video from Annie News. Today we're checking out a cut content video again from Overlord Season 4, Episode 12, second to last episode of the season. My god, you watched last episode? I cannot wait to see what happens next. Everyone's just dying. Everyone's just dying, and the princess. Oh, but that'll be the next one for now. But let's check out the, my brain went up against COCYTUS. I was like, how is this gonna go? And the mad respect, I feel like there was some weird respect thing going on there where like the way he didn't just walk past him, he walked around him. But let's see. Probably more explanation about it in this exciting episode of Overlord cut content.
There was a rather poetic end to the character that was Brain.
Mate, yeah.
As a warrior whose life found new purpose through honor, it was only fitting his final battle be against the most honorable person in Nazareth.
Yeah, I like that.
One that could truly appreciate the amount of resolve it took to stand up against a monster like him. So, as we take a closer look at the appropriate end to Brain, we'll also discuss the post-fight meetings that came before it.
Cool.
Two interesting discussions that go deeper into how PDL and Ainz now view each other. Let's get started.
Platinum Dragon Lord.
Episode 51, Invasion of the Royal Capital, covering the other half of Chapter 4 of Volume 14. Before we get to the big reveal about Pandora's actor, we first have to talk about the post-fight meeting with PDL and Azuth, a secret rendezvous that PDL had attended merely out of courtesy. You see, if his initial scouting had revealed that Azuth was being watched, then PDL would have abandoned him right then and there.
Oh wow.
It was only after he confirmed that Azuth was alone that PDL finally showed his face to discuss the battles that just happened. So, with both having failed to eliminate their targets, there was an obvious issue staring PDL right in the face here.
Yeah.
And that was the fact that Azuth was still alive somehow.
They clutched on. It's like, wait a minute.
PDL was certain she was far stronger than the Sorcerer King. So, for Azuth to return unscathed after a battle with her, well, that just didn't seem right.
Didn't make sense,
He
yeah.
actually felt it was rather impossible. That being the case, PDL couldn't help but be suspicious of Azuth's presence here.
Oh,
It was
okay.
very possible he could have made a deal to save himself. Only after Azuth
They're all suspicious of each other now.
to keep a distance did PDL finally consider he may have just been lucky. Albedo was, after all, a close-range fighter. If
Well, yeah,
Azuth
he just kept running.
treated her with proper ability usage and spacing, then it was much more plausible for him to have survived this encounter. Regardless, the fact remained that Albedo was stronger than the opponent he just faced. Her ability to break into his isolated reality was something that only further proved that.
That was sick when she just
An
smashed
interesting
in.
comment PDL wanted to make after this was that the king he faced wasn't nearly as strong as the vampire he faced. That didn't mean their next 1v1 would be easy, but PDL did feel that if given enough time to prepare himself, then he should be able to beat Ainz with just his armor alone.
Interesting.
If he was using his true dragon body, though, then PDL believed that he could beat both Shaltir and Ainz. His exact words were that even the vampire would pose no real threat.
That's interesting.
So, considering how he had run away from Shaltir the last time he faced her, I find it rather interesting that PDL would make such a bold claim here.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how much stronger his main body is.
Actually, as compared to that, yeah, whoa.
Since this remote armor does only have one use left in it, though, it's likely only a matter of time until we get to see the real platinum.
Oh, we can only use it so many times. Interesting.
Now, one last
Now
thing
that's
to
cool
note
as
about
well,
this
ooh.
encounter was a certain name drop Azuth had used to gain notoriety within the theocracy. You see, his position as a human wasn't all that important, but his possession of the drop of red had made him so.
Right.
It was a valuable resource that PDL felt the theocracy was after. So, in order to avoid Azuth's untimely demise, PDL had given him a name to mention to them. We don't get to know what this name was, but apparently its very usage was enough to make Azuth's position extraordinarily more secure.
Oh.
Thus ensuring his place
Name
as
drops.
PDL's tool
Name
of the
drops.
law.
You know people drop their name.
Fast forward now to the post-fight meeting in Nazareth, and that's when we get to the reveal
This was
of
hilarious.
Pandora's actor. If you're wondering why I didn't mention him as Pandora's actor in the last episode, though, well, that's simply because I was referring to the scene as how the novels did.
Right.
And because all of us already knew it was Pandora's actor to begin with, I wanted to portray the scene from the perspective of the reader.
Yeah,
Not
cool.
the perspective of someone who watches the anime.
That's fair.
So,
Of course, we're going over
to
the original
to
material.
discuss their analysis, everyone present took part in sharing what they thought of this Riku person. Pandora's actor believed him to be a tank class of level 90, whereas Albedo and Shaltir thought he was at most level 80 or so.
Right.
Considering who it was that was giving these statements, though, it was very difficult for Ainz to determine who was right. You see, Pandora's actor did fight him the
You
longest,
actually
but without
encountered him,
being a
yes.
top-tier tank herself, it was much more likely her expertise would be more relevant. Plus, with the heavy hitter Shaltir giving a similar opinion as well, That made Albedo's
Heavy hitter
analysis a bit
indeed,
more
my
reliable.
god.
The thing is, considering Albedo only exchanged a total of 2 attacks, and Shelter wasn't a purely physical build like how Riku was, that meant there was still some room for doubt with this. Perhaps if Sibas or COCYTUS were here watching, then them and their specialized melee builds would have helped to provide a more accurate assessment. Unfortunately, since they weren't though, Ainz could only go on the perspectives currently provided to him, resulting in the general consensus that Riku was a pure tank specializing in magic defense. When we get to the topic of Pandora's actor's prostration next, the acceptance of such a move by Ainz only went to further command the respect of the people below him.
That's so funny.
The reason being that only a ruler as magnanimous as himself would set aside his pride to accomplish the strategic goal. Normally would be impossible for any other king, but for Ainz that was simply what was necessary. It was a tactical play that the Guardians couldn't help but admire, especially when they each began to consider how they would react to it. Should any other ruler had bent the knee to the Guardians present, then most, if not all, would have let their guards down. Albedo would have captured them for interrogation, Shaltir would have tortured them for being an enemy, and Ainz would have just killed them right there for positioning themselves so vulnerably.
Yeah.
It was a move that all would have reacted rather differently to, thus proving its effectiveness in deceiving the enemy. With regards to Riku's barrier next, another reason Ainz assumed it was made through a world item was because unequipping his own had prevented him from seeing through it.
Right.
When Ainz had removed the red orb world item from his chest, the mirror that was just displaying the heated battle was now showing him absolutely nothing. It was a clear indication that his world item had something to do with it. Now, the last topic worth discussing here was the potential identity of this mysterious warrior. A question that Ainz was closer to answering than they made it seem in the anime.
Okay.
With his shining platinum being the only clue, there were actually 2 known people with which they could associate that with. The first a legendary figure from the 13 heroes, then the second the platinum dragon lord from the council state. Considering that one was dead though, that left this counselor as the only one worth investigating. Of course, the platinum could have just been a clever misdirect, but any clue definitely needed to be scrutinized.
Yeah, it's gotta check that out.
With this platinum dragon lord only a border away, Ainz felt it was necessary to send an envoy to him. Perhaps a few loaded words may bring the truth to light. It was after Albedo accepted this new command that Shelter then asked if they were really going to recruit Platinum Dragon Lord here. Remember, Pandora's actor had offered multiple times for
him to join, yeah.
What he conveniently left out, though, was that if he did, Ainz was simply going to use him for information. He would figure out who he works with and what was going on behind the scenes, then quickly dispose of him so he couldn't turn on them.
Sneaky. Ainz is always plotting.
The potential possession of a world item, this unknown warrior was simply too much of a wildcard. He was a person Ainz didn't believe he could control. Unless Albedo was confident that she could do it herself, it was far too risky to keep this enemy alive, let alone have them join the ranks of Nazarick. So, the only way PDL could end up serving Ainz was if and only if he bent the knee to him of his own free will. If that act required any coercion or manipulation from the Guardians, then death was the only option that was waiting for him. And that brings us to the end of the discussion on Platinum Dragon Lord.
Okay, now,
with the Blue Rose adapted perfectly, we can instead skip.
Oh right, so they did that perfectly. That was such a out of nowhere, like, whoa.
That was Brain Unglaus.
Oh, mate.
With many of the civilians still cooped up in their houses, Brain knew that nothing could possibly save them from the fate that awaited them. Perhaps if they all came out and ran in each and every direction, maybe some would be able to survive through the chaos. But if any was to come out and ask him how they could survive right now, there wasn't a single plausible answer that he could come up with. So, with every home likely boarded up from the inside, Brain could only assume that the worst was happening. It wasn't unheard of when an oppressive force was sieging a city for the local residents to choose their own fates and kill themselves.
Damn.
And considering just how menacing this Sorcerer Kingdom was, choosing your own death may very
menacing
well
is the word.
than the one that awaited you with Hora. Regardless, the path Brain was taking now was simply the best path he had available to him. It was still extremely unlikely for him to succeed, but just like how Zanuck had taken 400,000 to confront Ainz in the fields, so too was Brain choosing the path that carried the best odds of success.
Which is mental. Which is mental.
Still better than the unforgiving absolute of 0. So, as Brain continued forward, contemplating a place to hide and wait for the king, that's when he noticed the unparalleled monster walking towards him. A creature so large and unfathomably strong that proceeding to the castle should have only taken a matter of seconds. That being the case, why was it then taking so long to
Yeah,
do?
okay, yeah.
If its unmatched power brought with it unprecedented speed, then why was this thing walking so slowly? Well, the only answer Brain's awestruck mind could come up with was, why not? If his only goal was to siege a capital whose resistance was non-existent, then why bother rushing to do it? I mean, to him this task must have been borderline tedious. A trivial mission that
So take your time with it and just...
whatsoever.
Okay.
So, as Brain believed this monster to be making light of the very streets that carried so much history, his pride wouldn't allow him to pass by simply unchallenged. This was, after all, the very street that Gossip had dragged him down. The same road he'd walked with Clyde and Sibas, and the very place he'd carried the kids and taken them to the orphanage. So, for this monster to be trampling a road that belonged to everything he cared about, well, that was an act that couldn't go unpunished. No longer was the Sorcerer King Brain's primary target, but instead this creature who had disrespected his memories. The only thought he could think of now was how he could take it. Now, despite Brain knowing just how futile this challenge was, thinking about how stupid he was being was all but natural. I mean, this was a far cry from the initial target he wanted to challenge.
Yeah,
But
there's no way he could have fought Iron Jesus.
Dictated he would fight wherever and whoever he wanted. It just so happened that this monster would be the one he would face next. So, as it inched closer and closer to reveal its towering figure, an overwhelming fear began to captivate Brain's entire body. Every inch of his being was telling him to run away.
Yeah, don't do this. Do not engage. Do not engage.
And surely this monster would bypass him just like the rest. That was the simple choice separating him from life and death here. When he saw the halberd this monster carried so proudly, though, Brain instantly knew he'd stumbled across a warrior. A creature whose strength no amount of training would ever bring him to, yet someone he still wanted to fight regardless. So, after the two had gone to introduce themselves by name, the mention of COCYTUS had gone to jog Brain's memory a bit. Somewhere, somehow, a very long time ago, Brain did believe he'd heard this name mentioned.
Okay.
He couldn't quite remember where it was from, but that was the thought that had aligned itself right alongside the memory of Shaltir and Sebas. They were the trio of monsters whose power was at a level he could never reach. What Brain thought of next was just how grateful he was for COCYTUS to be respecting him here. You see, had the positions been reversed and he was facing a much weaker enemy, then the courtesy of an introduction wouldn't have even been given. He would have ignored the person in front of him, cut them down, then continued right on with what he was doing. So, for someone so powerful to actually acknowledge his challenge, well, that was an act that Brain could only be thankful for. One that was complemented by the honor of having his god-slaying blade be chosen to fight with. Now, the whole time Brain had spent preparing himself for this duel was actually time COCYTUS could have used to cut him down.
Damn, so he let him.
Brain had left himself open so he could compose himself and gather focus. A necessary step to rid himself of whatever hesitation was left. The fact COCYTUS didn't strike during that whole time was yet another act that spoke to his warrior's soul. That and the stance he had taken to fight were all things that showed he acknowledged Brain's resolve as a warrior. So, as he compared this opponent to the stark contrast from his duel with Shaltir, that's when he remembered again how he'd heard COCYTUS' name before. It was the last divergent thought he would allow before focusing solely on victory. Now, of the two core things required to achieve that, the first was to move faster than a Shaltir-class monster, then the second was to strike hard enough to sever COCYTUS' limbs.
Good luck.
Both of which Brain knew was just a complete and utter fantasy, but was something he would have to try if he was going to make it.
Oh yeah, you gotta at least attempt
as he
it.
promised himself to perform the nail clipper technique that got the best of Shaltir, what resulted instead was its evolution into True Nail Clipper. Through his use of Domain and Divine Strike to set up 4-fold Slash of Light, Brain had further perfected this by adding in his 6-fold Slash of Light. Normally this wouldn't have been possible with his nail clipper stance, but by pushing himself to the limits of what he was capable of, Brain for the first time had forced 6-fold Slash of Light into his nail clipper art.
Nice.
It was the last step needed to finally surpass his rival Gossip. In this very moment that Brain had acquired this new art, he had gone beyond what his late friend was capable of and entered into the realm of heroes that all but evaded him.
Wow.
He was now the strongest warrior the kingdom had ever come across. So, seeing that Brain had reached a level beyond his expectations, COCYTUS moved his leg forward for a single purpose. He had chosen to fully defeat Brain when he was at his best.
Right.
An act that
Cool.
once again honored
That's so sick. It's like, I will fight you at your most powerful.
With no focus remaining to activate any other arts, Brain pushed his body beyond its already maxed out limits and activated the 5th art of Ability Boost. Then, as if to achieve the impossible for a second time, Brain used all he could to activate one more heart. His greater ability boost should have been all but impossible. But something that Brain didn't even know himself was that, as a warrior who possessed an innate talent that allowed him to increase his focus capacity, Brain was using it to break the very rules of the world and achieve this second miracle which permitted the activation of
and he
the
still
sixth
lost, like what?
The first miracle was when he'd cut Shaltyr's nail, and this next was to use power on a level that wasn't humanly possible. It was a realm of strength no human should have ever been capable of, thus the incredible strain it seemed to be putting on his body. So, what Brain had gone to achieve in this moment was the pinnacle of hard work which stemmed from his initial defeat with Shaltyr. It was the amalgamation of all the experience he had gained with Gazif, Clem, and Sivas. A fitting end to a warrior who once fought with arrogance, but now lifts his blade for the purpose of friendship and honor. And that's the memory that will be left behind with this small, untouched path of cobblestone.
Wow. Oh, whoa, what a way to end it. I like that he did that instead of doing his outro and like, wow. Yeah, I can't believe Overlord Season 4 is like finished, so we've still got one more cool content video, I'm guessing, covering the last episode. And then there's a movie, isn't there? And then there's other... I don't know, I'm really intrigued to see what happens next, because something has to happen. Something has to like be able to fight Angs and that. And if that Platinum Dragon Lord like is as powerful as he says he is in his normal body, then that's going to be an interesting one. And there's other two people with the weapons and the white hair and all that. And oh, I can't wait to see what happens next. Anyway, thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video, I upload links in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month or less, I'll support the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for that. Thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, and leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch discussing future videos. And I'll see you guys next time.